take aback, take after, take off. It's phrasal verbs. Hello everyone, my name is Ehab and this is English with Ehab. Today the topic is going to be phrasal verbs, and these are phrasal verbs using the word take. Now, I know phrasal verbs can be frustrating because it's really all memorization and you have to know exactly which preposition or which word goes with the main verb, and on top of that, it just completely changes the meaning of everything by just changing that word. So when I do lessons on phrasal verbs, I'd like to introduce them kind of slowly. There's thousands of them. I can spend years talking about phrasal verbs. So for today's lesson, it's going to be short. I'm going to talk about 5 phrasal verbs that use the word take. I'm going to show you some examples, and then when we get to the conclusion, we will see what we have learned. Okay, let's get to the board. Okay, so right behind me on the board are the 5 phrasal verbs which I'm going to discuss with you guys today. It's quite a bit of information I'm going to go over. I'm going to define them. I'm going to show you an example of how they are used in a sentence. And another thing I'm going to talk about is if they are separable or if they are inseparable. And I'll explain what that is momentarily. The phrasal verbs. All of them are going to be used with the word take. Okay? So, the first one is take aback. Second one is take off. Third one is also take off. Keep in mind, another thing that makes phrasal verbs so tricky is the fact that you can have the same phrasal verb mean 3 different meanings or 4 different meanings. So there's lots of definitions for the same phrasal verb. And again, we have to look at the context. We have to look at the information which is inside the sentence to try to determine what the meaning is. Another one is take after. The last one is going to be take up. Now, each of these has the verb take. You can use take in any verb tense. It can be in the present, it can be in the past, it can be progressive, in the future. Again, any verb tense. But let's go one by one. The first one, take aback. Take aback means to be surprised or shocked by something. When we say surprised or shocked, usually it's something in a negative way. All right? Now, it is always separable. Okay? Always separable. Now, what does this mean? That means that you have the main verb, which is take, and then you have this word here. If you always separate it, then that means you need to put something right here in the middle. So, for example, my friend dropping out of school took me back. He was so smart. So what am I saying here? I'm saying I was really, really shocked because my friend was very intelligent. I thought he would complete school, not only complete it, but do well in school. And he dropped out. Now, I cannot say took aback me. I have to put something right there in the middle. So if it is always separable, we need to separate it. Take off is the next one. This one is what we call inseparable. Inseparable means that I need to keep that word take and the next word, I need to keep it together. I cannot put anything in the middle. Now, what does take off mean? Take off has a couple different meanings. There's another one here, but let's talk about this one first. This definition means leave the ground and begin to fly. We only use this for one reason, and that's for a plane. Possibly it can be used maybe with a rocket or something that's going into outer space. That would be okay as well. It means to depart. That would be used as well. So for example, the plane will take off soon. Take off has another definition. Take off means become successful. A lot of times we use this phrasal verb for products. We can use it for people. For example, when we think about, I don't know, well-known or famous people, when we talk about their careers and we say they took off or he or she took off, it means that they've become very, very successful. This is also inseparable. I cannot separate it. I need to keep it together. Now, the example that I used was the iPhone. The iPhone took off in 2007. The first iPhone, if some of you remember that, the first iPhone was in 2007. And right away, it was very, very successful. So, again, if we're talking about something which is going to be successful, we can use this phrasal verb. Okay? Take after. Take after means to have a similar personality to a family member. And usually it is your mother and father, but it can be any other family member as well. This one is also inseparable. For example, Lisa takes after her mother. Both love to tell jokes. So if they are funny people, they have a funny personality, that's how Lisa is, and her mother is the same way, we can use this phrasal verb and basically say that they are similar. The last one is take up, and this is also inseparable. All of these, most of them are inseparable. We had one which was always separable. Later when I do lessons on other phrasal verbs, there's going to be, a variety of separable and inseparable. But anyways, this one is inseparable, which means I need to keep it together. I can never separate it. And to take up means to begin doing an activity. The key word here is regularly. It has to be something that you are doing often. Okay? For example, I took up tennis when I was in college. What does that mean? It means when I was in college, I started to play tennis, and I have been playing it regularly since that time. Maybe I would say, you know what? I need a new hobby, something to do in my free time. Maybe I will take up hiking, or maybe I will take up cooking, or maybe I will take up playing video games or board games. So, when we say take up, it just means you're going to begin doing a new activity and you're going to do it regularly. Again, notice you can keep it in the past, we can keep it in the future. Again, when we use these phrasal verbs, they can be any tenses because, again, they are verbs. And when we think about verbs, we also use regular verbs in a variety of different tenses. We can do the same with phrasal verbs as well. Okay, let's go ahead and get to the conclusion and we'll see what we have learned. Okay, on the board right behind me are 5 sentences, and again, they should be a good review for the 5 phrasal verbs which we talked about today. Again, those phrasal verbs are take aback, take after, take off. We have take off again, but with a completely different definition. And then we have take up. Okay? I'm going to go sentence by sentence. You guys let me know, how do I complete the sentence with which one of those phrasal verbs? Okay. Number 1. Years ago, John blank running to get into shape. He has been running ever since then. Okay, it should be to take up. But remember, we can change the tense. So, years ago, past, John took up running. Remember, when you take up something, you start to do an activity, but you do it on a regular basis. John took up running to get into shape, and he has been running ever since then. Number 2, Tom blank his father. Both love sports and outdoor activities. This one, Tom takes after his father. Remember, when we say to take after, it basically means you have a similar personality to that of your father or mother. It could be any relative, but generally speaking, it's usually the father or mother. The actor became so famous after his first film. Not his career blank after that. So his career should be took off after that. Remember, we use take off. One definition for this phrasal verb is when something becomes popular very quickly. It could be an object, it could be a product, like the example I used before, the iPhone, but it can also be a person. A lot of times we use this phrasal verb when we are describing a well-known person. It could be an actor, a singer, maybe a professional athlete, you never know. Number 4, we need to get to the airport because our plane will take off soon. Take off has a second definition. Take off means when a plane is going to leave the ground and begin to fly. Another way we can describe it is departing, to depart. Number 5, when Tom was arrested for fighting, I was taken aback. He seemed like such a nice and peaceful person. Remember, we use take aback when you are surprised or shocked from something. Usually we use it when we are surprised or shocked from something negative. And that's what it is right here. If I know this person, Tom, he seems like a nice and peaceful person, and then I heard that he was arrested, again, I was taken aback. He seemed like such a nice and peaceful person. Hope you guys learned something today. Please like the video if you can, and please leave a comment down below. Let me know about other lessons that you would like to see, and if you can, please subscribe to the channel. As always, keep on speaking English. Until next time, bye-bye.